The well was supposed to be dry. Everyone said so, and the deed confirmed it. But when Malachi Brooks lowered his rope into the darkness, a metallic scrape echoed from 30 feet below, something that shouldn't have been there, something that made a sound no dry well should make. He stood on the edge of the abandoned ranch, sweat dripping from his weathered face, staring into the black circle of stones. 3 days ago, he'd signed papers for this forsaken place nobody wanted. Free land, they called it, free because of what happened here 20 years ago. Malachi pulled the rope up, his calloused hands working steadily. The bucket emerged, heavier than it should have been for a dry well. He set it on the cracked earth and peered inside. Clear, cold water sparkled in the afternoon sun, but beneath it, something glinted, a small, metallic object catching the light like a shard of mirror. He reached in, fingers closing around it. It was warm, unnaturally so for something submerged in cold water. A gold coin, old and worn smooth on one side, bore strange symbols he couldn't decipher. In his 35 years working ranches across the territory, he'd never seen anything like it. The coin felt denser than gold, heavier in his palm. He pocketed it, its warmth pressing against his chest through his shirt. This ranch was his last chance. 3 months ago, debt collectors took his farm. His wife took their children east to her family. This abandoned plot was his shot to prove he wasn't the failure everyone thought. But as he prepared to lower the bucket again, a voice cut through the silence. "I wouldn't do that if I were you." Malachi turned to see a woman on horseback approaching. About 40, with steel-gray hair pulled tight and eyes that knew too much, she dismounted with grace. "Cora Maddox," she said. "I own the spread east of here. Been watching you since you arrived." "Malachi Brooks," he replied, hand near his pocket, feeling the coin's warmth. "Just trying to get water. Man's got to drink." Cora stepped closer to the well, eyes fixed on its dark mouth. "That well's been trouble since it was dug. Sterling Boone learned that the hard way." "What happened to Boone?" Malachi asked. "Nobody knows for sure. One day he was here, talking about striking it rich. Next, he was gone, clothes still in the house, food on the table, horse in the corral." Malachi felt the coin pulse, matching his heartbeat. "Maybe he just moved on," he said. Cora shook her head. "Sterling wasn't the type to run. Something about this place changed him. Something about that well." She pointed into the darkness, and Malachi swore he heard movement, not water, but something else, making his skin crawl. "What kind of trouble?" he asked. "The kind that makes a man vanish, leaving everything behind." Cora's voice dropped. 6 weeks before he disappeared, Sterling stopped coming to town. Looked like he hadn't slept in days. My farmhand Jebediah found him by this well, talking to himself. Full conversations, like someone was answering. Malachi shifted, the coin burning hotter. Ranch life can wear a man down. This was different. Cora pulled a cloth bundle from her jacket, revealing an identical gold coin. "Found this in my chicken coop 3 days after Sterling vanished. Buried 6 inches down. My hens wouldn't go near that corner." Malachi held up his coin. The two matched perfectly, their strange markings shifting in the light. "There are more," he said, nodding at the well. "I can feel them." Cora's face hardened. "That's what Sterling said, word for word, the day before he vanished." She paused. Sterling wasn't the first. Samuel Delaney disappeared 15 years ago, acting strange, talking about treasure in the well. Before him, this land sat empty for 20 years. Locals say people come here chasing wealth and end up gone. Malachi noticed fresh horse tracks circling the well, leading toward the hills, tracks that hadn't been there minutes ago. "Those weren't there before," he said. Cora mounted her horse, face pale. "I'm going back to my ranch. If you're smart, you'll leave tonight." But Malachi couldn't leave. The coins, the mystery, they were his chance to rebuild. As dusk fell, he tied his rope to the well's rim and descended. The air grew colder, the light above shrinking to a distant circle. At 40 feet, his boots hit solid ground, not water, but dirt and debris, as if someone had been digging. Lighting a match, he saw tool marks on the stone walls. Another match revealed gold coins, 20 or 30, scattered in a circle around a buried wooden box. He dug it out, heavy despite its small size, and stuffed his pockets with coins until his pants sagged. As his last match flared, he saw words carved into the wall, "They're watching. They know what I found. Look for the real treasure in the old church foundation. S.B. Sterling Boone's warning." Malachi climbed up, heart pounding. Full darkness had fallen. The stars looked wrong, shifted. By lamplight, he opened the box, finding a letter in shaky handwriting. "To whoever finds this, I'm Sterling Boone. If you're reading this, I'm likely dead. The coins are bait, luring people here for years. They're watching me. The real treasure is information, hidden in the church foundation half a mile north. Look for the loose stone marked with an X. Be careful, they know when someone finds the coins." Branches snapped nearby. Footsteps, multiple sets, circled the ranch. Malachi doused the lamp and crouched, listening. They were closing in. He crept to the ranch house, coins jingling softly. Inside, Sterling's belongings lay untouched, a coffee cup, a shirt, boots by the bed, frozen in time. Through a broken window, he saw men moving, one with a lantern, another with a rifle. His horse, Patience, was tied behind the house. If he could reach her, he could ride to the church foundation. A voice stopped him as he stepped toward the back door. "That's far enough, friend." Malachi froze. 3 men emerged from the shadows. The leader, tall and lean in a black coat, spoke. "I'm Fletcher Knox, representing business interests in this territory. You've been poking around that well." "Just passing through," Malachi said. "Needed water." Fletcher smiled coldly. "We've been watching since Boone disappeared. Waiting for the next curious soul." The scarred man, Reuben, stepped closer. "Check his pockets." "The coins aren't what you want," Malachi said, recalling the letter. "They're bait." Fletcher's smile widened. "Smarter than Boone. He figured it out too late. The coins are payment for services, discreet services." "Smuggling," Malachi said. It fit, the isolated ranch, the disappearances, the coins as bribes. Fletcher pulled out a deed transfer. "Sign this, give up any claim to this land, and forget the well. Territorial law says you can claim abandoned property after 30 days. You've been here 3, close enough with our witness statement. And if I refuse?" Malachi asked. "You'll disappear like Boone and Delaney," the third man, Caleb, growled. Hoofbeats interrupted. A rider in a long coat dismounted, staying in the shadows. "Federal marshals are sniffing around," he said, voice cultured. "Had to move the schedule." Fletcher glanced at Malachi. "We've got a complication." He mentioned the church foundation. The rider tensed. "Impossible. Only we know that location." Caleb shoved Malachi into the house. "Sit and keep quiet." Malachi noticed newer floorboards by the back wall. As Caleb watched the window, Malachi crept over, lifting a loose board to find a leather satchel and crowbar. Footsteps approached the porch. He swung the crowbar, shattering a window, and dove through, cutting himself on glass. Gunshots followed as he ran to Patience, vaulting into the saddle and spurring her north. 10 minutes later, he found the church ruins, a stone foundation with a crumbling bell tower. He located the X-marked stone, prying it loose to reveal a metal box. Inside were documents, ledgers, letters, names of territorial officials, customs agents, even a federal judge involved in a smuggling ring. Sterling had documented it all. Fletcher's men appeared at the valley's edge. Malachi stood, box in hand. "I know what you're doing. I've got proof, Judge Morrison, Agent Williams, stolen rifles, border payments." Fletcher aimed his pistol. "Dead men don't testify." "I sent copies of Boone's letter to 3 newspapers," Malachi lied. "If I don't return by morning, they'll know where to look." Fletcher hesitated, then holstered his gun. "We're done. Burn the ranch, scatter." They rode off. 3 months later, Malachi stood in the territorial courthouse as Judge Morrison was arrested. The documents exposed a vast smuggling ring, leading to 12 arrests. Fletcher and his men vanished. Malachi owned the ranch legally, using a reward to reunite with his family and rebuild.